All right, everybody. Season
All
two,
right.
episode two. The deuces are up. The Nikki and Fitz podcast here on Podcasters, Spotify, YouTube. Still working on a sponsor, Nick. Sorry.
No,
Next
no,
week, we
let's
are
get
going
a
to
few
have,
irons in the fire. Trying to,
yep, we're going to have our first guest next week. Scotty Nash
okay.
of Scotty's Vodka. He's
All
confirmed for
right.
next week.
Excellent.
So, very
You
excited
can't
about
go
having
wrong
him
with,
on.
all right.
A Terp who knows a lot about football. Said, and he told me his lock this week was Maryland over Michigan State, laying the number. So, pretty interesting. Good guy. All right. So, something we want to talk about the Heisman update spotlight. Every week, there's going to be guys that are going to blow up the screen, right?
Right.
Um, this week, Cam Ward, obviously at Miami, was
Right.
unbelievable. Did you watch
Right.
any of that game?
I did. I watched. That's one thing. You can't tell because my record was terrible, but I watched games from noon till midnight,
I
except for
watched.
eating dinner.
I watched a lot of games this week. A
Yeah.
lot of games. It was great. Travis Hunter, he looks to be he looks to be the front runner for the Heisman. Shutdown
Right.
corner, 132 yards, three touchdowns. The game winning touchdown grab. I don't know if you saw it. Back to the defender, reached out and muscled the ball into his body. That looked legit.
Yeah.
He's. Did you hear he's a 4.0 student and doesn't party, doesn't chase girls? He's
Oh my
supposedly like
God.
this clean cut
Right.
football, hunting and eating and sleeping, and that's all he does.
Right.
So hopefully that prevails for him. He's going to be a great pro, and he could play both ways in the pros, but it's so hard. I mean, who played both ways in the pros? Dion. That's about it, right? I mean, can you think of anyone
Yeah.
else?
I want to say guys from the Patriots over the last 20 years have dabbled in it,
Yeah,
but not any serious,
and
you
I mean,
know.
and Bo Jackson, of course, the ultimate athlete, played football and baseball like Dion.
Right,
Bo was
right,
great at both.
right,
Could be a Hall of Famer in both sports, I think. Um,
right.
Miller Moss looked unbelievable against LSU. I mean, the guy's been sitting, I think it's 3, 4 years, right? Waiting for his time,
Yeah,
waiting,
yeah, like 3 years. You're right. Yeah,
and he's legit.
right. No, he was slinging it, man. I mean, LSU. I was listening to the post game podcast on LSU, and they're all upset, but he was throwing some darts in there, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that pass down the sideline that he on the
yeah,
last drive, and then they tacked on the personal foul for targeting. That was an awesome pass.
yeah. No, he's everything he threw was right there in the numbers. I mean,
Right,
I think Herb Street said everything he threw is in the player's face mask. I mean, everything was
right,
right there.
right,
And then, of course, we got to give the small schools a little love.
right,
Addison, Jeanty, Boise State, 20
right,
carries, 267 yards, six
right,
touchdowns. Holy crap. Looking like Barry Sanders at
right,
Hokie State. Those are pretty big
right,
numbers. He might have a shot if he keeps it up. This week, they go into where? They go into Oregon.
right,
There's a big game this week. You will hear the hype on him, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. Agreed.
All right. After week one, Nick, you want to go over who's playing who in the playoffs?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So it's a new. This is obviously a new system this year, and there's going to be 12 teams, and you've gone through it and seeded all 12, and I guess the first four have buys, so that's we anticipate this is going to be the University of Georgia at one, Ohio State Buckeyes number two, the Utah Utes three, and the Miami Hurricanes four. So they're off the board the first week,
They're
and
projected
then
as the
what?
conference winners. That's why they're the four
Right,
top seeds. Conference
right,
winners get those seeds no matter what their records are. They win the top four conferences.
got it. And then the remaining eight teams you have are stout. I mean, there's number 8 Old Miss against number 9 Oregon. Well, maybe just the teams, just Old Miss at 8, Oregon at
No,
9,
they play each other,
Texas,
Nick. They would be playing
oh,
each other. That's the way the
Texas at
bracket
5
is.
versus Boise State at 12, Notre Dame at 7 versus Penn State at 10,
That'd be a
and
great game. That would be
right,
a
and
great game.
Alabama at 6 against Missouri at 11.
Yeah. Yeah, that's those are some good tilts. Notre Dame, I mean Penn State at Notre Dame because they'd be the 7th seed. That's must-watch TV there. That
Yeah,
that looks to be the best tilt. And Oregon Ole Miss would be a good one as well, I think.
right.
All right, so that's kind of like every week we're gonna dabble in it, see what the results were from the week, the what the teams are ranked, and then you will be able to post what how it's going, and we'll see it there every week how it fluctuates. But in this week's first week rankings, you got 6 SEC teams in the playoffs. That's a lot,
That's yeah,
right? One, two,
right.
three, four. I'm sorry, five. No, no. We got Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, Bama, and
Yeah,
Missouri. That's five. I'm sorry. Five of the
yeah.
12 are SEC. That's
It's almost half.
yeah, that's a lot, man. And
Yeah,
three Big Ten teams. All right. So this week, obviously, after some unbelievable games, right? I mean,
right,
the word of the week is respect for
right,
teams that we didn't respect. I thought there were some teams that really showed up. USC right up there, right, as the team that a great opponent, LSU, great game, great crowd. They look good.
right. No, they went out and got a defense together. They got the coordinator from UCLA, Anthony Lynn's son. They got John Humphrey from UCLA. They got Ramsey, the defensive back from UCLA. They got another defensive back, Arnold from Oregon. They went into the transfer portal and spent and got something for their money.
Yeah, they as Nick Saban said, they spent it on the right guys.
Right,
Because you can spend a lot of money on the wrong guys and you're still going to lose,
right,
right? And then
right,
Penn State's got to be right up there. I
right,
didn't see it. I thought they would get beat. They really, I mean, it was 26 when the thunderstorm came in, which, we think that it would help West Virginia. But the problem was most of the fans left at that point. So they played
right,
a half filled stadium this when they came back 2 hours later. And they had nothing. They just weren't good enough, right? I mean, against Penn State. I didn't see any of that game. I don't know if did you catch any of it?
I did. Like that was the one game that sort of broke like we thought it would break. If
You
Penn
did.
State had
You saw it. You called
the
it. I
new
did not.
offensive coordinator, and we said if the wide receivers can push West Virginia's defensive backs back on their heels, it's over, and that's what happened.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, they're better than I thought. I think Aller's going to have a pretty good year. They're going to be pretty good and hard to deal with.
Right,
And I went to the Maryland game. I thought Maryland looked really good, man. I didn't think they'd cover the 20 and a half, but they look really strong. They look really deep. They're going 2, 3 deep in most positions, playing real true freshmen at some positions. Ty Felton looks to be the part. I mean, he had 176 yards or something and 2 touchdowns. They look good. Billy looked good.
right,
Talked to someone last night who told me that they thought that the play calling for the game was made for Billy to keep him in his sweet spots. No big throws, nothing downfield where he becomes inaccurate. Everything underneath, everything in a 20-yard circle. They kept everything real condensed for him so
right,
he wouldn't get himself in trouble. And it worked. And the running game looked good, and the offensive line looked really good. Now, granted, it's UConn; they're a horrible program, but Michigan State Sparty comes to town this weekend, and that'll be a better test, even though I don't think they're that good either. But that'll be a better test. Um,
right.
and then Notre Dame A&M. Wow,
Yeah, that was a huge win for Marcus Freeman and
huge.
a huge win for the Fighting Irish and a great game.
Yeah. And you're right, their schedule does really, it's pretty soft. I mean, now that
Yeah,
we know that Florida State's a joke, like I
right,
told you they were, Nick. Like
right,
I said they were.
right,
They're
right. Of
done.
course. Yeah,
They, I mean, that's going to be a W. I don't think they got Clemson this year. They don't have Miami. They don't have anyone really tough. They got SC, obviously,
yeah,
and Purdue. But they should roll through most of those teams, man.
right.
I think they could go 11-1, 12-0. I think the
Yeah,
Irish are going to make the playoffs. So they will not get a top four seed because they're not in the conference, but they could get the fifth or sixth seed. So they're getting in. You might as well just chalk it right now. They're getting in the playoffs.
right.
Riley Leonard looked pretty good in the quarterback too. They're good defensively though. Wow, defensively they were just
Yeah,
unbelievable.
right.
All right,
And they're faster than they usually are.
first week I went 11-4. Had a pretty
Take
good
a
week.
bow, brother. Hey, that's fantastic
Had a
work.
pretty
Very hard
good
to do.
week.
You know,
Had you at
that's winning like
seven and
70% of
eight.
the games or 65% of the games.
I
Not
had
easy to do.
I had you at 7 and 8. Not very
Yeah,
good. Not very bad. Not the worst.
yeah.
Um, Big Ten 17-1. Strong week for them. So we'll see what happens. Minnie's the only team that lost, and they had
And Minnesota's good.
opportunities. They had opportunities to win that
Yeah,
game too, man. They gave that game to North Carolina.
right.
Um, Oregon 24-14 against Idaho. Did you watch any of that?
I watched parts of it. The game was on. I went to a local watering hole and the game was on, but I couldn't really if I was watching A&M and I was it just seemed like Idaho was like not was playing legit football. I mean, they were running the ball,
Yeah, I I watched some of it. Oregon looked at uninterested, like
right,
who gives a shit? It's his Idaho.
right,
I if that's the case, they're going to lose a few games. They play like that. They got to wake up here. I'm surprised Lanning's team didn't come out and throttle them though. Because they're known to throttle the weak sisters, right? I mean,
right,
Lanning doesn't care. He'll run over his mother.
right.
So talk to me about the Iowa Illinois State bad beat of the week.
Yeah, that's a bad beat. I think the over was like
39 and a
30,
half. 39 and a
39 and
half.
a half, and it was 6-0 at halftime. And you're thinking about cashing and everything you're going to do with that nice ticket. And it blew up at the end. And um, Iowa won 40-0. So the game went over unbelievably brutal.
All right, so you want to talk about Florida? I warned you that they
Right,
are a pretender. When you told me Graham Martz is the answer at quarterback, and I said that's not an answer, that's a problem.
right,
92 yards passing before they took him out in a concussion protocol. I mean,
right.
their over under is 4.5 wins. I
For the
don't think
year.
they do it. I like the under
Right,
there. I like the under,
right,
to be honest with you. I got him winning maybe 3 or 4 games. Um,
right.
the Gator fans, my brother who's a Gator, hit me up. He's like, he's got to go. We cannot embarrass ourselves at home like that against Miami. My brother Juan, and
Right,
he said Napier has no clue how to work the nil, the transfer portal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They got players, man. It's too much of a job for him because that job not only takes you have to be a good coach, obviously. It's harder to coach talent than it is to coach scrubs, right?
right.
And he's got talent. He's not a very good coach. Then you got the alumni who are breathing down your neck there, and then you
Hard.
got yeah, and then you got the locals who are there, who are the local flavor, not only the alums but the people who live there in town. It's a pretty sizable college town. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, the ball coach, Spurrier could handle it because he's an alum,
Right.
so he knew. Napier, he's done there. I mean, we're putting him on
Yeah.
watch, right? He's
Right.
They're talking maybe a mid-season firing.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, I guess the amount of money I guess, you can't feel too badly because he's going to get, 22 million in
yeah.
addition to what he already owned. But yeah,
They don't care
he's
about
in a
that
tough
shit.
spot.
Yeah, they don't care
Yeah,
about that. It's 22
yeah,
million. They just throw that out.
right, right,
All right. So let's go over the games real quick from last week.
all
UNC
right,
-2 is we had the line at, and it moved to 1.5, where you dropped a little few dollars on it.
right.
Covered
Yeah,
with
barely.
uh, me and you had a push there. I took Mini, you took UNC, um, and it pushed
Many
to
was the pick.
19-17. Yeah,
Yeah, to be clear, Many was the pick.
but UNC and all your preseason hype about them, they're finished, right? No Max Johnson, they're done.
I mean, they've got players who have played quarterback. They're not dead in the water, but we'll have to see.
They're staring at 7-5. They're done.
Yeah,
I think that I don't think they're going to win the ACC or anything crazy. I think they're going to have some problems.
right.
I mean, Max had what 5 years of experience, a couple years at LSU, a couple years at A&M. I mean,
Yeah,
he's played some football. I mean, he was an
right,
upgrade for them. I mean, Drake May was pretty good last year, obviously, but I'm saying from what they have now, that's an upgrade, and I think they're going to be hurt there. FAU getting 14 against Michigan State. We both liked FAU. Michigan State barely beat them 16-10, so we got that. And then I double betted that with the under, and I covered there as well, 45 and a half
right.
points.
Good move. Good pick.
Thank you. Temple, 42 and a half against Oklahoma. I said they're going to kill them. Temple's program's terrible. And, we both won there. You took the under at 57 and a half, and you
Right,
covered by 3.5 points. I took
right,
Oklahoma straight up laying the 42. So when the game started, Temple was winning 42-5, 42 and a half to 0 on the
right,
betting highs.
right,
Oklahoma still won the game. So
right,
Oklahoma looks, whatever. They're going to kill the stepsisters, but now they got to
right,
play the big boys. We'll see what happens.
right.
UConn, obviously, we talked about this. They did not cover against Maryland. Maryland looked good. Penn State covered. You love Penn State. You said James Franklin's going to get it done. He's a good coach. He's won a lot of games. You were right, man. You nailed that. That was my upset pick of the week, so I lost that, which is upsetting. I do think. I mean, you asked, does WVU have enough money to compete in this era? They're the only game in town in the whole state. Every rich guy in that state gives money to that school. So
Okay.
I think they do. They may not have enough of a winning pedigree recently because they've won in the past recently
Right,
to bring in dudes. That's the only
right,
thing I would say. And it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it
right,
is, and it's not a beautiful college campus. I mean, it's not great, but
right.
we'll see. Um, this is the game that I really like North Dakota State on. You like Colorado, and they
Yeah,
beat Colorado. That game was. I watched a lot of this game. That game was tight, very entertaining, back and forth. North Dakota
right,
State, they're good, man. I mean, they're
right,
good. I don't know what to tell you. I like Stanford here, getting 9.5. They lost by 7. You like the under. Lost the under because they went to 61, and I won on the cover. And then
right.
the game that I love, the dogs just wiping out. You said Dabo had a little something up his sleeve. Dabo had
Yeah,
nothing in
yeah,
his sleeves.
yeah,
Sleeves were empty,
nothing. Yeah,
Nick. They,
yeah.
they got was that 6-0 at half? I heard,
6 and a half, right? Yeah.
and then they just broke out
And
the
then the roof
whipstick.
caved in. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it
Dabo had
was
nothing.
without ATN running back. He sat out.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia still got some stuff left in the tank. They're not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Kent State Pitt. Do you like the under as the lock of the week that went down? And it
Yeah, when
bounced
it
back
went
this
to with
week.
79, there was a kickoff return for a touchdown, like second play from scrimmage. There
Yeah.
was an interception, two interception returns. It was just sorry, everybody. It was a big bummer.
Pitt, Pitt, looks like they may be okay this year. Who knows what'll happen? I mean, Kent State's
Yeah, I mean,
not a joke.
it's a totally different pet team. He's got a quarterback in from Alabama, Eli Hotstein. He can throw the ball. They were slinging it. They were. It wasn't just the Kirk Ferentz offense from Iowa, the
No,
3 yards in a cloud of
Narduzzi,
dust.
Narduzzi can coach though, Nick.
Yeah,
He's a good
yeah, yeah.
coach, man.
Right.
I
Oh
like
yeah.
him a lot.
Oh yeah.
Then Miami laying 2.5 against Florida. I know Florida had shut it down all summer. No one
Right.
was allowed. The reason no one could come to their practice is because they suck. And then Billy
Right.
Napier didn't want people to know it in the summer. They had
Right.
to see it on the field. They got trounced. I mean, that game could have been so much worse. I mean, Florida's bad. They're a bad team, right?
Right. They're
Graham
bad. Yeah.
Mertz, terrible, terrible.
Right.
They're done. And Miami actually looks pretty stout. I'm wearing
Right.
the Gator jersey shirt my brother brought me this weekend.
It's nice.
Uh,
Nice shirt. Looks
Thank you.
good.
FIU, they did not cover by a half a, or did they? FIU, it's 25 and a half. Oh, they did cover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost by 24. Okay, they did cover. Um, Zignetti, the era begins, man. Beat up on a
Yeah,
weak
you were right. He
team.
said he's a serious guy from in
Oh,
from James Madison, and
he's no joke.
yeah,
He's no joke, man. Um, we both got that one right. Notre Dame, obviously, we talked about this beating A&M by 10. Um, you had you had the under, which you won on that, and I took A&M, so I lost. But you had the under. Good call on the under. This is a game that I liked. I told you when fucking teams go out to Hawaii, there's a problem.
right.
UCLA barely beat them
Yeah,
16-13.
UCLA is
Yeah,
really in trouble.
yeah,
They're not going to win 4 games.
I had Hawaii there. Um, Fresno State getting 21 and a half against Michigan. Michigan beat them by 20. Michigan looked pretty stale. I don't know what to tell you, man. They don't have a real quarterback. They're playing when you're playing two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback, right?
Right,
Isn't that the
right.
old
You
expression?
don't have if you have two, you don't have one.
Exactly. And that's what they look like. We'll see this week what
Right,
they're made of because the horns are coming to town.
right.
Uh, LSU, obviously, disappointment. We both took them. They went down to USC. USC is a lot better than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
I kind of like
they're
their
a
team.
lot tougher.
Yeah,
They're-
they play D. They're hard nosed. They got a quarterback that's accurate. I think that could be a pretty good team. I mean that
yeah,
could be a playoff team. And then this debacle, who I said to you, Nick, FSU might be cooked. They lose to Georgia Tech. I said, I didn't say money line, but I thought 17 and a half in Boston College, Bill O'Brien, he's going to
right,
get them up, right? They beat them outright, 28-13 in Tallahassee.
right. Beat them badly, thrashed them.
Beat them badly. FSU is done. Done.
Right,
They maybe win 5 games this year, maybe 6.
right.
They're done. They're going to the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl this year if they go to a bowl. Okay.
Out.
Shreveport, Louisiana. That's where they're going to be.
Right,
They're finished. I guess the committee did have it right. They don't belong.
right.
All right. You ready?
Ready.
Go, baby. We come right out of the gate hot.
All right.
Texas, 6.5. Favorite against Michigan at home, a home underdog. 44 and a half is the point spread. What say you?
Man, you got to go with Texas here. I mean, I get it. I mean, they've got a lot of back on defense. They've got both defensive tackles. They added the linebacker from Maryland. They added the defensive back from, I mean, they brought the defensive back Johnson back from last year's team, Will Johnson. But I don't think they can stay with Texas.
I don't either. I think Texas beats them. I think beats them badly. I
Right,
hate to say because I want to root for the Big Ten so desperately, but I do think that this is the best game this week. By the way,
right,
um, we went down the calendar. This is the best game of the week. Obviously, two top 10 teams. It's also the best place to go for a road trip this week if you get a chance. If you ever been to Ann Arbor, great town, great college atmosphere. We went, Nick, right? Me, you, and Sammy went in
right,
'93, I think it was. We went for the Maryland game. Had a great time. Went to Cleveland for a few days. That
right.
was fun. Went to where did we go across the border?
Windsor,
We went to Windsor for an
Windsor,
afternoon.
Windsor, Ontario.
We went to Windsor for an afternoon, not quite a
Right,
day, an afternoon there. So we had a great trip. Um,
right,
but Ann Arbor's a lot of fun. I've been there 4 or 5 times for games.
right.
We saw Notre Dame play them, right? I don't think it was
That's
Providence.
right.
It's Notre Dame. Yeah, we saw Notre Dame play them. I've been to the Maryland game with Harvey and Pat, some of our other college roommates. Um, so good game. I don't think Michigan has enough, but they could surprise us. 44
I
and a
don't think
half.
Michigan has it on offense. I mean, I I don't know where they're going to get how they're going to move the ball. Texas defense is probably pretty good. I
Yeah. Oh,
mean,
yeah, yeah. They
they
got
shut
dudes.
out Colorado State.
Yeah, they got dudes, man. They got
Yeah,
dudes. So I see Texas. This is almost like a slam dunk for me.
right.
All right. Iowa State v. Iowa. Iowa's favored by 3, over under 35 and a half.
Yeah, the traditional Iowa over under.
I thought it was
Um,
28 was the traditional.
yeah,
What do you say, Nikki?
you got to go with Iowa here, man. I mean, they're at home. I mean, Matt Campbell's a good coach at Iowa State, but
Yes,
um,
I agree.
Ferns is back behind the bench this week at Iowa, and they're just, they are what they are, but you got to respect them.
I'm gonna take Iowa too, Nick.
Okay.
We'll both go with Iowa here.
I think there's going to be a lot of agreement this week.
We'll see. It's early. 35 and a half. No, you don't want to touch that for a double bet, or you want to?
No, no.
Okay. Michigan State v. Maryland. Maryland 9.5 is what the line I got, but I think it's dropped down to 8. And 44 and a half the over under. I'm gonna take the Terps and lay that number, man. I think they beat them. I think they beat
I'm
them
going to
pretty
join you.
soundly.
I'll join you there.
Yeah, I think they beat them soundly. They're a better team. I just think that I think Jonathan Smith is going to win at Michigan State, but it's going to take a few years, man. You got to build up a lot of,
Right,
football just doesn't happen. It's not like basketball where you line up a couple stars on a
right.
team and boom, you're winning. It doesn't work that way in football. You need dudes, a lot of them. Colorado v. Nebraska. Nebraska favored by 7. I think this is going to be a hell of a game here. Go
But
ahead.
I want to talk. I want to ask you about this.
Yep.
So we've got the coach from Nebraska in from the pros. You know, I'm forgetting his name, Matt
Rule.
Rule.
He was
Thank
at
you.
Temple and he was at Baylor.
Right,
One at
and he
both
was
places.
he was
One at
with
both
the
places.
Charlotte Panthers too in the
Yes,
pros.
correct.
Um, where do you think the program's at? I mean, it's been
Yeah.
30 years since Tom Osborne was there, 25 years since Frank Solich.
I bet
Um,
they're wishing they still have Bo Pelini, to be honest with you. They
yeah,
ran him off on a rail because he just won nine,
right,
10 games every year. I mean, what a joke.
right,
I think
right,
that program's got delusions of grandeur of who they really are. I mean, Tom Osborne was a great coach and he was a great recruiter, and he recruited South Florida and Florida hard, man, in Texas.
right,
He brought in some players. I mean, remember those
right,
Nebraska teams were loaded, man. So
right,
as recruiting's been diluted to, the great teams still get all the players, all the best players, but Maryland's getting a 4-star now from Florida. It's not
right,
just Nebraska, right? So other
right,
schools are going into their fertile hotbeds.
Right.
I like Colorado here, man. I think Nebraska's starting a freshman quarterback in that environment. It's going to be in Nebraska. They're going to be fired up. I think he shits the bed and Colorado beats him. I mean,
Okay.
I like him for the cover too. 7 points. They're not quite. I don't know if I like him on the money line, but I do like Colorado to win that game. I think Colorado's pretty good offensively, man. They're going to score some points. I mean, Shador can really sling it, and Travis is a beast. So I'm going to go
Okay.
Colorado there with the 7.
Okay. I'll take the under there.
The under. Okay. Very good. This is an intriguing game. Boise State at Oregon, Nick.
Right.
Boise looked good this week. Oregon did not. 18 and a half points, 60.5 over under. At Oregon, obviously, in Eugene. They would never
I
play in
know
the
nothing
blue
about
carpet.
this. I mean, what?
They would never play in the blue carpet in Boise.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna take Oregon here, Nick. I think
Okay.
they realize, all right, we better wake up here, and I think they put a beat down on Boise.
Okay. I'll join you on that one.
Okay. At this game, I really like to this. There are some good games this week. I shouldn't have said there are not as many. There's some good games. Appy State versus Clemson. Clemson's 17-point favorite.
I've
I'm
thought a
gonna,
lot about I've thought a lot about this game. I
yeah.
mean,
You love Dabo. I know. I know. You love
um,
Dabo. I'm taking Appy State though.
okay, nothing wrong with that.
No.
I'll take Clemson,
Okay. Laying the number,
laying the number.
17 and a half.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna double bet that and take the under as well. 51
Okay.
and a half. Because I think that's going to be a low scoring game.
Okay.
Um, Tennessee at NC State. Tennessee's favored by 7.5, over under 59.5. Tennessee hung 63 on someone last week. They're pretty good.
I don't know what to do with that. I mean, they're playing Chattanooga in Knoxville. Um, I mean, is it like an exhibition game? Is it?
No, man, it's a legit game. What are you talking about exhibition?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Uh,
Oh, the game it's not in Raleigh?
I think it's in Raleigh. Yeah, this week. Um,
Well,
Dave Dor.
I'm going to take Tennessee in a beatdown. I think
Okay.
NC State's just okay. I think they're going to want to.
Okay.
Tennessee's going to hang a bunch
All
of
right.
numbers on them. Who do you like?
I'll join you that way or two.
Okay. Kansas State versus Tulane. K State 10-point favorite at Tulane, 49 and a half over under.
So, Tulane's coach Willie Fritz left, went to Houston. They got John Summerall in from Troy State. Um, I'm going to take the under here.
Under Nikki. Okay. And I'm gonna take Tulane to get those 10 points.
Okay.
I think they play good at home. Not much of a crowd there at their games. But
Right.
they've had some good seasons recently. So they
Right.
got some dudes. I think it'll
Right.
be close. I think K State beats them by a touchdown when it's all said. I think K State will win the game, but I think it'll be close. Mississippi State at Arizona State. Arizona State, are they favored? Hang on, Nick. Hang on. Arizona State favored by 4. Ooh, against Mississippi State.
Oh boy.
57 and a half
Um,
over under.
I think the under here. I think both these two teams are. I just don't see them scoring that many points.
I'm going with the under. Me too. Two under
Okay.
bets there. Kansas versus Illinois. Illinois getting 6 at home. 55 and a half over under.
Don't you're gonna laugh. Everybody can laugh. I'm gonna go with Illinois here.
So am I. I am too. And I'm also going to double bet it with the under.
Okay.
because I think Illinois' defense is good. I'm not laughing. I think Illinois is going to play him. I think Illinois could beat them. Actually, they're going to
Right.
shut down the offense, and it's going to be a low scoring 17-14, 17-13 game. Texas Tech versus Washington State, 1 point favorite for Tech, 65 and a half over under. Whew,
So
a lot of points.
Texas Tech beat Abilene Christian by a point last week. The Abilene Christian quarterback was from Texas Tech and threw for 500 yards or something crazy like that.
Oh Lord.
Um, maybe the number's just too high here, 65 and a half. Maybe I just got to go with the under.
Okay. I'm going to
Yeah.
go with Washington State at home.
Okay.
I think that we've talked
That-
about it's a tough place to go visit. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no direct flights.
right.
Tech
It's hard to get to.
private. It's hard to get to. I think they beat them at home, especially if they had problems with Abilene Christian. South Carolina, who's like got so lucky to beat ODU. I watched the end of that game. They should have lost that game to ODU. ODU, that's Old Dominion University.
Right.
They're in no
Right.
big conference, okay? I think there's something
Right.
else. Versus Kentucky. Kentucky's a 10-point favorite, 45 and a half over under.
I don't know what to do here, man.
I'm taking Kentucky in a beatdown. I think South Carolina's
All
done.
right.
They're
All right.
soft.
I'll do the same.
You know what we say about South Carolina, right, Nick?
What's that?
Alabama fan base Vanderbilt trophy case. By the way, Vandy had a good win against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, it's the
yeah.
Vandy. I guess Virginia Tech's terrible.
Right.
South Florida versus Alabama. Roll Tide, 31 point favorites, 63 and a half over under.
Man, I got to go with the under here too.
The
I,
under?
I
Okay.
think I think Alabama's going to kill them. But
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be 48 nothing, 42 to 3. 63 and a half is a lot of points. I think they kill them. They're going to steamroll them at home.
right,
The board, by the way, did not miss a beat. Like I said, there's just too much talent there. He's a good
right,
coach. He knows how to coach talent. They look the part, man. They look like they didn't miss shit. Okay. Cal versus Auburn. Remember, this game was a 10-6 game last year at Cal that Auburn
right.
just barely beat them. 13 and a half. Auburn's favored by 53 and a half is the point spread. I mean, the over under. Sorry.
Um, I want to bet Cal, but I can't do it.
Do you go bet Auburn?
Um, I'm going to go with the under.
You love playing the under early in the season.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Auburn.
Okay.
20 to 3. I like the under two, Nick, but 20 to 3, 27, 27-10. They're going to beat
Right.
them soundly, but it's not going to be by a lot. Arkansas versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's 8.5 point favorite at home in Stillwater, 59 and a half over under.
I'm going with Sam Pittman here. The Arkansas Razorbacks. Pig
Oh,
Suey.
wow. And I'm going to take Okie State at home in Stillwater. They play so much better in Stillwater than they do anywhere else.
As Mike Gundy said, there will be no more negotiating your money deals until December.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Old Mullet said that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. All right, Northern
No, no
Illinois,
more talk about money. We have to do football now.
Northern Illinois versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame 29 and a half point favorites, 46 and a half over under.
I'm going to take Northern Illinois. That's too big of a number, 30 points.
I'm going to take Notre Dame. I don't think Northern Illinois scores
Okay.
against them at all.
Okay.
I think they shut them out.
Okay.
Then I picked some games that I thought were kind of fun to pick. ECU versus ODU. ECU is favored by 2.5, 48 and a half over under.
I used to watch a lot of East Carolina Pirate football. I'm
Yeah,
going to go with them here.
you are okay. And I'm gonna go with ODU. I think at home, I think they win. They look
Okay,
good against Virginia Tech. No, no, against South Carolina. I'm sorry, South Carolina
right.
played them tough.
No, South Carolina, you're right. South Carolina was the team they beat like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they should have beat them last week. They had them in
Yeah,
the ropes, and they
yeah,
threw an interception at the end of the game that cost
right.
them the game. Temple versus Navy. Navy's a 13.5 point favorite.
I mean, do you think Temple will show up after last week's game?
No, Temple's done.
Okay, then let's deal
I'm
with the
taking
middies.
Navy. I'm taking
I'll take
Navy
the middies. Yeah,
at 13.5. I think that's a
right.
pretty reasonable line. And then last game of the week is Oregon State versus San Diego State. Oregon State favored by 4 points, 55.5 over under.
I'll take the Aztecs. I'll take San Diego State.
At home, getting a number,
Yeah.
and I'll take Oregon State on the road, laying the number. All right.
So we
Do
need
we
to
have?
bounce back from last week's debacle of of the Pitt
you
Penn
were
State
you
game.
were 8-3-1 last year. Nothing to sneeze at, man. That was really good
Yeah.
last year.
So
So
we need
don't
to get this is that was then and this is now.
you got to get right.
See, we got to get right with God and the betting gods. So when we started this, when we did our little pre-podcast chat, you said that as we went through this, a game is going to jump out, and you
Yes.
were right. And that game is Texas. Hook 'em horns.
No, come on. Texas is your lock?
Texas is the lock.
Wow. I agree. I think they're going to kill them. I mean, it's going to be embarrassing for them.
Right,
And I mean, I want Michigan to play well and beat them, but I don't think they have enough dudes to do it. That's the thing. And it's warm weather. It's not like it's going to be like Michigan winter.
right.
It's going to be nice. So I'm with you on that's a good, it jumped out at you, huh? I thought there were other games
Yeah.
that jump out more, but that definitely is a jump. Um,
What are you what jumps out at you? I'm just curious.
Tennessee, NC State jumps out at me. Um,
Okay.
I think South Carolina, Kentucky's a jumper.
Okay.
Um, I think Maryland, Michigan State's a jumper.
All right.
Um, that's about it. I
All
mean,
right.
Notre Dame kind of, I don't know anything about Northern Illinois, but I know about Notre
Okay.
Dame now. Um, you want to talk about Bill Walton, our RIP segment? No one really died this week, right?
Right. Fortunately.
Fortunately, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to, we'll pick a guy. I mean, he could have died recently too. It doesn't
Right.
matter when they die. I mean, we're trying to pay respect to him, his family, his career, his who he was as a person. As a Celtic fan growing up, loved Bill Walton. He came onto the Celtics late in his career when he had not a lot left in the tank, but he still had something left, right? After a bunch of foot injuries and knee injuries. And he was the missing piece of that 86 championship team, I thought. He
You're
played
right.
well. So what do you want to add about Bill? I know you know about his UCLA career and all.
Right. So he was a huge his brother played he's from San Diego. His brother played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Um,
I didn't know that.
he he probably had the best individual game any college player has ever had against Memphis State in the final in 1973. He was something like 22 out of 23 from the floor or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Um, we're old enough, we're right on the cusp where we got to watch him in the pros, I guess, until the winter of 1978 before he broke his foot for the first time when they played Portland, when they played
They
the
won.
West Coast teams, when he used to have to stay up late into the night because they would play them at 10:30 Portland time, and it was Western Conference Finals. There
Yeah.
was Golden State was good. The Lakers were good, and the Trailblazers really came together. And I think they were down 2-0 to Philadelphia in the championship, and then they swept them four straight.
Right. Right. They
And
ran.
they were tremendous tremendous team, and he was of course the best player on the team. And I think the takeaway or one takeaway that I get from his life is the tremendous enthusiasm he had for everything.
Yeah.
If it seemed like if he was doing a basketball game in the middle of February between two losing teams, he was fired up to be there.
Yep. I
If he
agree.
worked, if he did car repair, he was fired up to change the oil.
He
And
wasn't
that's
for
a one,
everybody on the TV. I liked him on the TV because I
right? So
thought he
did
made the
I.
game fun. But a lot of people
Right,
thought he joked around. He just bullshitted too much. But I thought it made the game a little more entertaining to listen to.
right,
He knew what he was talking about when it came down to
right,
talking about the game. But then he
right,
always brought in a little sidelight into it. And he was a big
right,
Maryland fan. Always rooted for the Terps. So I like
right,
that about him.
right.
The whole Grateful Dead thing. I like the Grateful Dead. He liked the Grateful Dead. I mean, great
He
college
really liked the
player.
Grateful Dead. He did
Yeah,
everything with the Dead.
brought the championship to Portland. The only championship that city's ever won, I think, in anything. Right? That's it.
Right,
The one championship they won there, that was really on his back. I mean, they had a couple really nice players with him, but he was the reason. If he doesn't get hurt, break his foot,
right,
who knows where that takes them, right? To a different level in terms of
right,
winning championships. And then he won one with the Celtics. So I do think that lived his life to his fullest, has a couple kids that are also coaches now, right?
right.
Who also played ball. Kind of went too young. I think he was what, 72,
Yeah, yeah,
73, 72. Yeah.
yeah.
A little too young, but that cancer's a bitch. And, when it
Right,
gets you, man. So, God bless his family. Hope they're good. Hope they're going to be, they can live through the year and, and other years living with good memories of him because that's how I'm gonna see him. I
right,
really I really like him. I'm gonna miss him this year in college basketball because he was always great on the TV.
right,
All right.
right. He was a great human being.
Yeah, yeah. Great show. Once again, we're gonna have Scotty Nash next week.
All right.
Vodka. He's gonna be a great picker. Usually these guest pickers outdo me and Nick. I don't know how that happens. But watch a lot of games this week. There's a lot of good tilts. I'll be at the Maryland Michigan State game. We got a whole crew of like 8 or 9 of us going on the bus. So
All
we should
right.
we should have a good time this weekend. We'll be in touch, Nick. Thank you.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you, sir. I enjoyed this very much.
yeah, it was
Great
good.
to chat with you. Great to do this podcast with you.
Yeah,
Thankful for the opportunity.
it's been the best. All right.
Okay.
Talk to
All
you
right.
later.
Take care, sir. Be well.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.